An entitled Karen screams at me after I try to ask questions for her custom-built computer she's giving to her kid. She even went as far as calling me a scammer, claiming that I was just trying to hack her and that she would sue me if that was the case. And I've never been more confused by a customer in my life. Here's what happened. So I want to start off with a bit of backstory. I have many years under my belt of building custom computers, and I have built a name for myself in my town as a guru. In fact, my friend was the one that started that name years ago. I have always been into anything with technology, and now I freelance apps, security, repairs, graphic design for games, programming games, web design, and development. And my favorite is custom builds per user. I have a few questions I ask people that want a custom build from me, as it helps me decide on the parts and future upgrades down the line. I work from home as I don't own a storefront, and I work solely alone. I also don't make as much as you would expect from custom builds. Also, I'm pretty patient with people, since I'm used to customer service and have taken care of my special needs brother and sister. So anyways, on to the main story. I was working at home on a server for a local small mom and pop place when I received the call from the entitled Karen of this story. I answered the phone and she started off rather nice, but that was about to change. She said it was her son's 15th birthday and wanted to get him his dream gaming computer, and that I was highly recommended by her friend. So that's when I started to ask my questions. I first asked about the budget, and she said $2,000. Secondly, I asked if he had plans to stream videos and make his own streaming content, or make YouTube videos or anything like that. She said she didn't know, so I told her that's okay, but if he did, I would need to know, or we could just straight up plan for that. So after thinking about it, she said let's just plan for it. The third question was, what games did he like, or was he planning on playing? She didn't know this either, and this is when she got aggressive. She said to me, "Why on earth are you so interested in what my child is doing?" So I explained to her, trying to diffuse the tension, that some games have different settings for graphic quality, and it's gonna be at different resolutions. And as I was trying to explain frame rates as well as other aspects of gaming to her, she said to me, "Just pick what you think would be best and stop picking at my son's life." I then further clarified that I'm asking these questions so I can build him the best PC for his uses. Thankfully, she accepted this and we went on. I was hoping that would be the end of the problems, but things only escalated from there, as this entitled Karen proved to be entirely incompetent as well as incredibly rude. My next question was if there was going to be an Ethernet cable or if he will be using Wi-Fi. This entitled Karen started freaking out when I asked her this, and she started screaming over the phone. She said to me, "Why do you want to know that? So you can hack me or something?" This entitled Karen actually thinks that knowing this information would allow me to hack her, and honestly, why would I? I had to explain again that this is so I could include a Wi-Fi card or a motherboard that has Wi-Fi capabilities, as some come out of the box ready for it. She mumbled something under her breath, but eventually she said, "Fine, but if I get hacked, I'm gonna sue you." I explained to her that no, I'm not gonna hack you, and I just need to know so I can spend more or less on parts. She then said to me that she doesn't want any more questions and that she just wants me to do it. But I told her that I ask these questions to better provide the correct parts and PC services that I can, as this allows me to build to the user. She said, "Well, I think you have enough information, so now you can just do it." But I was thinking to myself, I literally don't have the information, because she literally doesn't know what she's talking about. Maybe it was like a surprise for her kid, and I thought maybe she just didn't want to give it away. But now I think I'm more convinced that she just doesn't know her kid at all. So I just took the most popular games and moderate graphics into account. I gave her the price and totaled everything up, and it came out to about $1,900. Now, mind you, the price of GPUs were coming down around this time, but they were still high. I always charge a $100 build fee, so her total was $1,900 with that fee. She then tried to tell me that I was trying to squeeze her for every penny, and that Walmart was way cheaper than this. They were only around $1,000. So I explained to her that yes, but they are using older hardware, and games are always advancing. I told her that the hardware I was providing her son would allow him to play any modern title, as well as any future ones that might come out. She then asked me if this included the monitor, the keyboard, the mouse, and the desk with the lights. So I explained to her that no, this was just the computer, as she never stated from the beginning that she wanted all of that with the price. I tried to explain that my questioning is all about the build itself, but as you could guess, I never got to it, because she exploded into a rage. She said to me, "You are just a scammer. My son is gonna build his own games, business, and he's gonna be way more successful than you. You should be lucky to build a computer, and you should do it for free, since he will be famous one day. When she started freaking out and screaming all this information at me, I stayed calm and I didn't say anything. Normally, I would have snapped at this kind of treatment and just straight up hung up on this entitled Karen. But I have a soft spot for people who want to learn technology, and it was her kid's birthday. So I told her that there was no need for such words towards me. She then said to me that she's gonna tell everybody who I really am, claiming that I was just a scammer, and then she hung up on me. The next day, I got a call from her husband, and when he told me who he was, I thought to myself, oh boy, here we go. But surprisingly, he was very nice. I went through the process again, and the computer was to be a surprise. I then asked if they wanted, I could build the PC with their son and teach him as well as everybody else how to do it. And the husband loved the idea. And when the day came around, apparently I was an idol to that kid, as his youth pastor has a custom Marvel case that I built for his computer, who is the person that recommended me. The mom, on the other hand, was just silent and never said a word to me. Me, the dad, and the kid all had fun as I taught them how to build a computer, but the mom just didn't join in. They even spent more at the husband's request, as he wanted his kid to have the best computer possible. When it was all said and done, the dad tried to pay me more, but I refused, as I don't charge more than $100 per build. Now, after all of this went down, believe it or not, I did get a bad review on my store's Facebook page, but thankfully nobody paid attention. And based on her behavior, I'm honestly not surprised. How petty can you possibly be? First off, you try to claim this guy's some kind of scammer, and you call him all these other names just because you don't understand what's going on in the slightest when it comes to computers. And then after all of that, after having him come over and build this computer for your son, you're then gonna leave a bad review on his Facebook store? I mean, that is so petty and just so weird. And you know what? She absolutely knew that she was in the wrong. She was standing over in the corner, sulking, acting like a complete fool the entire time, while her husband and her son are having a lot of fun. So good for the original poster for not only taking on this job anyways, but also thinking of this kid over this stupid entitled Karen. This kid had the best birthday he's probably ever going to have. And if it was up to his entitled Karen of a mother, she could have taken this experience away from him, and he would have missed out on an awesome opportunity. If you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out, link down below in the description. Today, I messed up by photoshopping my boss's face onto his entire family photo, and much to my dismay, I accidentally sent that picture to everybody in the company, and as a result, I was worried that I was gonna get fired. Here's what happened. I first want to say that this happened last year, and luckily, I have a new job. It was Father's Day of 2022. My boss on my team of 10 sends a photo of his entire family, including his 3 baby grandchildren, his 3 kids, and their spouses, and his wife every year. As another note, my boss is not a good-looking man. The face only a blind mother could love. And unfortunately for his family, especially for the female offspring, his genes are incredibly strong. I also hate my boss with a passion. And he had also just brought his lazy son, who is about my age, onto the team, and I was taken out of all client interaction because his son needed exposure. I luckily had one really good work friend on my team who also really hated my boss, but he was higher up and didn't really need to deal with him as much. As this work group chat is going off, we are just ripping into this family. We were both pretty tipsy because you know what? It's Father's Day, and we are not fathers. This entire time we were joking like how crazy it would be if we accidentally sent one of these messages to the wrong chat. I was laughing about it and how we would be an idiot to actually do that. And then I had a eureka moment. I am pretty good with face in the hole and use it often for funny memes. So I face in the hole his ugly face onto his entire family except for his daughter. This included his 2 sons, 3 granddaughters, his wife, and 2 daughter-in-laws. I made this thing a masterpiece. I was using tone, contrast, switched angles to match everything. It was the Mona Lisa of face in the hole. The best part is that you couldn't tell that his daughter's face wasn't edited. In pure excitement of this masterpiece I created, I saved it and immediately sent it to my buddy, waiting for my glorious applause. As I sent it, all of the sudden, a text notification at the top comes from my work buddy that said to me, WTF. It took me a second to register that I just sent that to my entire team. I had not said anything in the group chat at all up to this point. My first message was this picture that had multiple layers of mess ups. I literally jumped up from the couch and threw my phone against the couch, saying the words, oh no, over and over again. I started profusely sweating and pacing frantically in the living room. My fight or flight response kicked kicked in and I wanted to run like Forrest Gump. My wife freaks out, thinking I just found out that I had some kind of illness or something like that. But instead, I told her what happened. She had no idea the messed up things we were sending. She had just heard me giggling like a schoolgirl across the couch. She immediately tries to calm me down, saying it's probably not that bad. But when I show her the picture, her jaw drops. She then looks at me and says, okay, we need to think of something. I call my buddy who is laughing hysterically at my stupidity, and I'm like, you need to bombard the chat, so hopefully he doesn't see it. He starts sending messages and asks people how their Father's Day was to get more interaction, as I am just panicking and sweating and contemplating quitting before I get fired. My wife ends up having a genius plan by telling me to text my boss saying Happy Father's Day to you and your mini-me's, which I thought was genius, but I sent it like 15 minutes and 20 messages later. So it was just straight up random at that point, and it maybe put more attention to it. My buddy then tells me that another coworker texted him on the side, basically questioning my motive. He basically asked if I was trying to get fired. Now, it was like 9:00 p.m. at this point, and my wife is trying to console me, but I could tell she was worried too. She would say to me, maybe your boss just didn't see that photo where you photoshopped his ugly face onto his entire family, including his baby granddaughters. Needless to say, I couldn't sleep at all that night. I just rolled around sweating, thinking about what on earth I'm gonna say to him and how I'm going to explain myself. Do I come up to him first and just apologize? Do I wait and pray that he didn't see it? I went through every possible scenario in my head and they all just straight up sucked. So I get ready for work early because I legit couldn't sleep. I felt like a prisoner on death row making his last walk, but I didn't get a tasty last meal because I felt like I was gonna vomit. I'm the first one in the office and I'm pretending to work and trying to play it cool. Our assistants come in and I'm thinking, all right, be sharp here and act like nothing happened. And you know what? They say nothing about it. Like they didn't see me insult our boss and his entire family via the masterpiece that I photoshopped. I'm starting to calm down, thinking that maybe nobody saw it. Then my work buddy comes in and he's just dying laughing, which brings my anxiety straight through the roof. He can see me from his office, so every time a new coworker comes in, his eyes get wide, like, oh no, here it comes, and he's just chuckling. But no one says anything. Then the moment of truth comes, and my fat, ugly boss walks in with his fat, ugly son. I start sweating again, and he just walks by me and says nothing. No hi, no good morning, just nothing. So I thought to myself, okay, kind of weird for him, but not bad. I'm watching his every move like I'm some psychoanalyst trying to read a criminal's body language, yet still nothing happens. And I'm convincing myself that maybe he just didn't see it. Maybe my face in the hole was so good that he thought I just sent the original photo back. 12:00 p.m. comes by and he comes up to me and says, hello there, do you want to grab some lunch? I respond by saying, I'm not that hungry, I had a big breakfast. So he says, well, walk with me across the street to go get some food. And with a lump in my throat, I agreed. The time had come. I didn't get away easily. As we were walking out, my buddy Army saluted me like it was the last time he would ever see me. He starts with small talk and I can barely answer because I'm just thinking how I would come up with an excuse. I have to wait for this idiot to get his stupid salad bar as I'm starting to sweat again. I looked like a walking food violation because the sweat was coming through my work shirt. We walk back and he's asking about my career aspirations and all these other things. And the weirdest part about all of this is this guy did not mention anything about that picture in the slightest. He was instead just 100% messing with my mind and it worked. It was honestly worse than if he had just called it out. I got back to work and I was safe. No one else on the team mentioned it again. My buddy would always randomly send me the photo while working just to try and mess with me. Eventually, I ended up quitting about 6 months later for a much better job, but I'm honestly thinking about sending it to that chat once again next Father's Day just as a farewell wish to my old boss. Yeah, that is a massive mess up. You Photoshop this picture that's meant to be for you and your friend group just to laugh at your stupid boss that you clearly don't like, but instead you send it to literally everybody at the company. Like, that is a massive oversight. But at least you kept your job, and you were able to get out of there within 6 months and find something else. So if anything, I would just be thanking your lucky stars that you were able to get out of there without any kind of complication. An entitled Karen demands to use our bathroom at our restaurant right as we're closing. But when I tried to enforce our policy of not allowing customers into our restaurant after closing, she demands my manager, and things go in a direction that I honestly never expected. Here's what happened. So last night, about 15 to 18 minutes after we closed, my last table of the night was leaving when a couple barged in and tried to rush straight to the bathroom. I kid you not, they were nearly jogging there. I politely quickly told them that we were closed, and the lady stopped in her tracks, looked at me and said, "Really? You're closed?" Looking right at the couple headed out the door. I confirmed it, told her that they were our last table of the night, and she gave me the dirtiest look. She said to me, "Well, can we at least use your bathrooms?" Now, normally it's whatever. I don't care who uses our bathroom, but firstly, we're closed. I mean, who goes into a place after closing and expects to use the bathroom? And secondly, my boss has been riding my butt about letting people who aren't customers use our bathroom. For the longest time, I didn't really see why it was a big deal, but then he explained to me that the water bill has gone up, and since they're not buying anything, there's not an equal match to cover the price. My boss is a really laid-back guy, so when I saw that he was getting genuinely aggravated with me, I saw I needed to start listening. So I told her, "No ma'am, we're closed and they're for customers only." You would have thought I told her to get her butt out the door the way that she gaped at me. There was a beat of silence and she said to me, "We were going to be customers. You're the one who told me you're closed." She said this in a super haughty, snarky voice. At this point, she had began to raise her voice at me, but I just kind of stared at her and repeated what I said about being closed. She kept using the same tone. She said to me, "So can we use the bathrooms or what?" At this point, my last table gave me an apologetic look and scooted out the door after handing me my tip. Now, I really considered giving in because I really didn't want to deal with this, but I really didn't want to give this lady what she wanted after having such a rotten attitude. So I repeated what I said, and I said, "No ma'am, we're closed. The gas station across the street has bathrooms. They are open. You can check there." Then those fateful words came out of her stupid mouth. She looked at me and said, "Can I speak to your manager?" Now at that point, I was jumping to get out of the conversation with her, so I gladly went to get my manager. I told my manager what happened, and she was totally on my side. She said that this lady was a complete idiot and headed to the front to deal with this Karen. Now when my manager went out to talk with this lady, all of a sudden, this entitled Karen was super nice. Her tone was totally different. She says that she just wants to use the bathroom and that I have a horrible attitude towards her, and I told her no. My manager tells her we're not allowed to let people in the bathroom after closing. The lady totally ignores her to talk about how the last time she was here, some nice Christian girls waited on her. All the while, she's giving me nasty looks. But my absolute favorite line was when the entitled Karen said, "I've never been talked to like this before." Oh, so this lady's never been told no before? That explains everything. Eventually, my manager did give in to this stupid Karen and just let her go use the bathroom, though not after lamenting all the trouble we will surely get into. As the lady walked into the bathroom, she beckoned her boyfriend over and told him that we have 2 bathrooms, but he just shook his head at her and left. That night, my manager implemented the rule that the doors to be locked until the moment we open, as well as the exact moment that we close. Previously, our inside lock was broken, and there's a long story about that, but all in all, she made sure how to figure out how to fix it before we left or ever had to deal with this type of situation ever again. Your manager is such a failure. I'm just gonna say that first and foremost. They could have just said, "No, you need to leave." They could have looked at this entitled Karen in the face and known right away that she is straight up lying. She's trying to use this manager just to get in that stupid bathroom. But instead, she caves to this lady and says, "All right, use the bathroom." Like, no, you gotta stand your ground. You gotta say, "No, you cannot use this bathroom. You need to leave." Because there's a few things that happen here that I have personally experienced in the working world. For starters, you're making your coworker, the one that just came to you and complained about this lady, look like a complete idiot. You're making it seem like this coworker didn't actually know what they were doing. And you're showing to your coworker that no, they can't trust you with getting things done. You're just gonna throw them under the bus, whether you were well-intentioned or not. If there are rules for the restaurant, then you need to enforce them. You don't need to double back just to appease some weird Karen who's freaking out over a bathroom. And you know what? She would have been fine if you told her no. Like literally by the time this entitled Karen had stopped complaining, she could have gone to literally any other place, used the bathroom, and been on her merry way. Personally, I've been in situations like this before where my manager says, "Hey, this is the rules of the store, office, whatever, and this is what we need to enforce no matter what." And when I try to enforce it and the customer or the person's like, "I want to talk to your manager," and then my manager goes back on what I was asked to enforce, it would honest to God make me feel like I'm going crazy. I would feel so betrayed, and I would feel like, man, my manager does not have my back. And that's exactly what happened here. In my opinion, the manager did not have the coworker's back. They doubled back regardless of the circumstance or how annoying this entitled Karen was, and allowed her to get away with something that was not policy. So personally, if I was the original poster, I would definitely be upset as well. Your manager betrayed your trust, especially after hearing everything about the situation information and knowing exactly who she was about to talk to. And that, in my opinion, is a failure on management's part, and it's a massive lapse in trust and respect. Thanks for watching. When you subscribe, make sure to hit the bell to turn on notifications so you never miss a video. To finish listening to all the stories, use the playlist at the top of the description. And if you like Am I the Jerk, you're probably going to love Am I the Genius. Check it out in the description below and subscribe.